Palestine Israeli forces committed 3 massacres in Gaza during the last 24 hours, killing over 32 civilians and wounding 41 others. In Argentina, workers of the Telam news agency condemned the decision of Javier Milei's government to close the agency's 13 correspondent offices in 11 provinces of the country. In Brazil, the death toll after heavy rains in Rio Grande do Sul rose to 56. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Palestine Israeli forces committed 3 massacres against Palestinian families in Gaza during the last 24 hours. Gaza's health ministry reported that at least 32 Palestinians were killed and 41 others injured in the Israeli attacks. Health authorities warned that Israeli forces are obstructing the entry of ambulances and rescue teams to the targeted areas, endangering the victims. According to official data, since the beginning of the Israeli aggression against Gaza on October 7, 2023, some 34,654 Palestinians have been killed and 77,000 wounded, most of them women and children. The Israeli occupation forces bombarded a building in the Gazan city of Rafah, killing 6 civilians, including 4 minors. The bombing hit a house in the Tel al-Sultan neighborhood, in which dozens of civilians were wounded. They also attacked the Bureij refugee camp, resulting in 9 others wounded. According to official information, in the last few hours, the Israeli army allowed the entry of only 212 trucks of humanitarian aid, not enough to attend to the more than 2 million Rafah residents. The government of Turkey has suspended trade relations with Israel as a pressure move for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan announced the suspension of all export and import operations with Israel for its continuous aggression against Palestine and violation of human rights and international law. The president remarked that the commercial ties between both nations provided Tel Aviv with a benefit of some $9.5 billion, making Ankara its 5th most important commercial partner. The Turkish head of state stressed that the Zionist aggressions promoted by Benjamin Netanyahu make a rapprochement between Turkey and Israel impossible. Members of the U.S. Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, on Thursday confronted the International Court of Justice and threatened to propose sanctions against the body if it issues arrest warrants for senior Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Precisely, Israeli Prime Minister called on President Joe Biden to intervene in the matter. The almost imminent decision by the international body known as the ICJ, which has been investigating accusations of war crimes committed by the Israeli military since 2014, has set off all the alarms in Tel Aviv. In this regard, although the White House declined to comment, it alleged the court has no jurisdiction over the situation. Meanwhile, in Cuba, the University Student Federation ratified Friday's rejection to the police repression against students in the United States for denouncing Israel's crimes in Palestine. The rally was held on the steps of the University of Havana. Foreign students studying in the capital city were also invited. The University Student Federation also invited workers and citizens in general who cannot stand one more minute of Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip. At the event, demonstrators raised their voices forcefully in support of the Palestinian people and against the police repression to which U.S. students are being subjected in solidarity with the Palestinian cause and against Israeli genocide. The French government evicted the building of the prestigious Paris Science and Letters University in the middle of a student pro-Palestinian encampment, repeating the United States' approach to student manifestations, but with less violence. Numerous police officers surrounded the Saint-Guillaume Street campus, where about 50 students who rejected the Israeli genocide and called for a ceasefire in Gaza and the interruption of academic relations with Israel remained. The heavily armed police surrounded the campus but did not activate any aggressive device as they did on all university campuses in the United States. The repression has contributed to more universities around the world joining the protest.
Occupation no more! Israel is a terrorist!
On Friday, in France also, university students rallied in support of the Palestinian cause and to condemn Israel's genocide against the Palestinian population of Gaza. French student unions rallied in front of the Paris Pantheon after a pro-Gaza rally at the prestigious Sciences Po University in Paris was dispersed by police. The Paris police headquarters declared that 91 people were evicted without incident, while the Office of Prime Minister Gabriel Attal stated that this type of protest would be treated with total severity. In recent weeks, educational establishments in several French cities have been blocked by demonstrations echoing the mass protests in Gaza.
We really regret the police intervention once again, more than a week after the first time, something that inflamed the whole professional community who were deeply shocked by this police entry at Science Spot, by the police entry into the university institution at the Sorbonne too. Once again, a red line has been crossed.
And let's go to Mexico, where also on Friday dozens of students from the National Autonomous University, the largest in the country, camped in protest against the Israeli military offensive in the Gaza Strip. In the meantime, they called to stop police repression against students in France, Germany, and the United States. In this way, protesters also demanded the Mexican government to break diplomatic and commercial relations with Israel. Palestinian journalists covering Gaza have been awarded the UNESCO Guillermo Cano World Press Freedom Award 2024 as recommended by an international jury of media professionals. The award ceremony took place on May 2nd during the World Press Freedom Conference in Santiago, Chile. This prize, established in 1997 in honor of Colombian journalist Guillermo Cano, honors the exceptional contribution to the defense and promotion of press freedom anywhere in the world, especially when this has been achieved in the face of danger. Guillermo Cano was editor of the newspaper El Espectador until his assassination in 1986 by hitmen on the orders of the Medellin cartel led by Pablo Escobar and Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha. As a result of his journalistic investigations and the support of his newspaper gave to certain political and social causes, such as the war against drug trafficking. Their prize has been annually awarded by UNESCO on May 3rd, World Press Freedom Day, since 1997. The purpose of the award is to recognize this year a person, organization, or institution that has made an outstanding contribution to the defense and/or promotion of press freedom anywhere in the world, especially if it has been endangered. Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Friday, Yemen's Houthi armed forces announced the start of a new phase of operations in the Red Sea. The agency detailed that ships violating the decision to ban navigation to Israel and heading to Palestinian ports will be targeted. The defense team also noted that if the Israeli regime intends to carry out a military incursion against Rafah, it will impose sanctions on all vessels of supply-related companies, in addition to banning all vessels of these companies from passing through the area of operations of the armed forces, regardless of their destination.
The Yemeni armed forces, with God's help, announced the start of the implementation of the fourth phase of the escalation as follows: targeting all ships violating the decision to ban Israeli shipping and heading for the ports of occupied Palestine in the Mediterranean Sea in any area within our reach.
In addition, the Houthi military spokesman said that sanctions will be imposed in the Red Sea if Israel intends to storm the Palestinian city of Rafah.
Secondly, the implementation of this measure begins as soon as this declaration is announced. Thirdly, if the Israeli enemy intends to launch an assault on the city of Rafah, the Yemeni armed forces will impose comprehensive sanctions on all ships and companies supplying and entering the occupied Palestinian ports, regardless of their nationality, and will prevent all ships belonging to these companies from passing through the armed forces area of operations, regardless of their destination.
Liberia's government decreed the creation of a war crimes tribunal to hold those involved in the civil conflicts that took place between 1989 and 2003 accountable. The president of the African nation, Joseph Boakai, signed the decree that will judge the crimes committed during the civil wars after its approval in both chambers of parliament. Conflicts in which it is estimated that about 250,000 people died, in addition to a great number of displaced. It is foreseen that once it begins its operations, the court will operate according to international standards with the support of world organizations. The electoral campaigns for Sunday's general elections in Panama closed Thursday. According to the country's electoral board, 8 presidential candidates have been registered for the elections. On the other hand, polls show that 20% of the more than 3 million Panamanians with the right to vote are still undecided for whom to vote. Besides president and vice president, voters will also elect the deputies to the Central American Parliament and to the National Assembly and mayors, township representatives, councilmen across the country. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro supervised Friday the military drill of the Bolivarian Military University of Venezuela 2024, the Essequibo is ours. Since April 19th, more than 4,300 combatants, including cadets and officers, women and men, take part in the exercises. The drill will conclude next May 12th. It takes place in the Pau municipality of San Juan Bautista in the northwest of the country. The military exercises aim to strengthen the nation's security strategies. Earlier, the president wrote on X, "We have in Venezuela a young, powerful, combative, trained military ready to defend the right to peace and the sovereignty of the homeland." The Venezuelan president was welcomed with joy in the city of Tinaco in the Cojedes state prior to his participation in the military training conducted by the Bolivarian National Armed Forces. During the president's visit, the people of Tinaco expressed their support to the Bolivarian head of state, who got out of his car to handshake the residents around him. Maduro expressed his gratitude to the people of the city for supporting his administration and for rejecting the U.S. government's interference in Venezuela's internal affairs. The Amnesty Chamber of the Special Jurisdiction for Peace in Colombia ordered 9,600 guerrilla fighters who signed the peace agreement to have their judicial records eliminated. The measure applies only to those who committed political crimes and received amnesties during the government of former President Juan Manuel Santos. In this way, the security agencies such as the National Police, the Registry Office, and even Interpol must eliminate from their files the data of those who benefited from this measure, ratifying that they are not linked to war crimes or crimes against humanity. The institutions have 30 days to provide information to the corresponding authorities and initiate the process of cleaning the files. Peruvian interim public prosecutor Juan Carlos Villena received in his office a delegation made up of relatives of the 50 victims of police repression on the protests against President Dina Boluarte. Victims and their families reaffirmed their demand for justice for the lives lost and for speedy investigation to take accountability and bring those responsible to justice. Meanwhile, the south of the country, the leaders of the National Organization of Martyrs and Victims, who exhibited the photos of the fatal victims at the courthouse on Wednesday, requested a hearing to find out the progress of the investigations into the incident. In Argentina, workers of the Telam news agency condemned the decision of Javier Milei's government to close the agency's 13 correspondence offices distributed in 11 provinces of the country. Telam's internal commission denounced the actions of the right-wing government and assured that in the next few days they will settle in the vicinity of the 13 headquarters in order to defend them. All this happens in parallel to the advance of the Omnibus Bill, which includes the attempt to privatize the national radio and public television. Milei's government has already intervened in the state agency, disabled its website, and suspended its workers. And the president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, spoke during his podcast about one of his country's biggest challenges, water supply. In this way, he highlighted large investments are being made in what he acknowledged as one of the most pressing worries of the population.
Today we are going to talk about the most vital of resources, water. It must be said that in the country considerable efforts are made along with important investments to solve water supply problems, which many times have to do with specific situations that arise at certain times due to the obsolescence of equipment, due to breakdowns, which also occur in this type of technologies, and due to the accumulated aspects of not having been able to make a whole group of investments on time, especially in maintenance. But on the other hand, it is also one of the sectors where there is a greater momentum of investments, and this contrasts with the fact that when one analyzes the opinion of the population, there is a high percentage of dissatisfaction of the population in relation to the water supply, to the leaks, and also to the treatment of sewage.
We now have a functional break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin American, Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Functional break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Brazil, the death toll from the storms occurring in Rio Grande do Sul has risen to 56. According to Brazil's civil defense, 67 people are also reported missing and 74 injured. Authorities say there are 24,666 people affected, of which 8,296 are in shelters and others sought shelter in homes of relatives and friends. According to an official report, 7 regions are affected by the storms, with road cuts and damage to various infrastructure, and 296,000 homes are without electricity, most of them located in flooded areas. In Indonesia, at least 14 people have been killed by floods and landslides in the island of Sulawesi. Local authorities say that since Thursday, rains have hit the province of South Sulawesi, causing landslides. At least 13 sub-districts have been affected with floods of up to 3 meters high. Over 1,000 houses in the area are underwater and mud, of which at least 42 have been torn from their foundation.
The rain intensity in South Sulawesi has been very high and caused floods in some areas across some districts. This has happened from May the 2nd to May the 3rd, 2024. In Lu, we have rescued 60 people and found 7 dead victims. We are still collecting information on missing persons. We wish for support and prayer from the people so this search and rescue operation can go well.
The Russian region of Belgorod suffered a new attack by the Ukrainian army that left 1 person wounded. The governor of Belgorod reported that an unmanned vehicle was reported to have hit a bus with 3 persons on board in the Shevekino urban district. The attack left as a result 1 person injured who received immediate medical attention, diagnosed with traumatism and injury to the right arm. The Belgorod Oblast has been the most affected territory by the incursions of the Ukrainian army. The Russian government described as very dangerous the statements of Emmanuel Macron on the possible sending of French troops to Ukraine. Following Macron's statements, the Kremlin reiterated that Russia will continue its special operation in Ukraine until it achieves the denazification of the country. The Eurasian nation's government stressed that the president, Vladimir Putin, enjoys a very high level of support among Russians and that he knows what has to be done and he does it well. Moscow also described as dangerous the statements of the United Kingdom's foreign minister about the possibility of attacks against Russia with British weapons. And in the world of sports, in El Salvador, more than 447 athletes from 54 nations compete in the World Junior Surfing Championship, which will last until May the 12th. In this sense, the Minister of Tourism, Morena Valdez, assured that this event surpassed the record of the 2022 edition, which was of 45 countries. On her part, she also pointed out that the event not only promotes young talent in surfing, but also positions the Central American nation as a solid destination in high-level sports. On the other hand, the Spanish Hans Odriozola, champion of the previous tournament, expressed that El Salvador has very good waves to organize this type of event. This World Championship is the 16th tournament held in the country since 2019 as part of the Surf City strategy. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.